Narasimha Rao is widely acknowledged as the father of the economic reforms and reforms in the foreign policy and reforms across the board, which made India what it is today. In 1991, we did not even have $2 billion to pay for our imports. Today, we have more than $500 billion, and we are already fifth largest country with the fifth largest GDP, and it is expected that we will be third largest sooner than later. I would like to personally give credit to Mr. Narasimha Rao for India as it is today. And Mr. Narendra was his information advisor and close aide, and he chronicled life in 7 Racecourse Road. And this is the book he has written. The book is available, and the publisher is giving a 10% discount. And this is Krishna Rao. He writes for a leading newspaper called Andhra Jyoti, and he covered Mr. Rao's prime ministership and several other leaders running of India for more than 3 decades, I think. And we are delighted to have these two gentlemen talk about the books they have written. May I now invite our secretary, Prakash, to introduce both the writers.
Thank you, Vedant sir. Yes, Narendra Sahib is very well known to most of you, I see. And of course, I can read it out, but let me tell you, I'll go something beyond this text. If I remember, every journalist of our time, you ask them about Narendra Sahib, they say that he's a living encyclopedia. Living encyclopedia of whether the politicians or the senior bureaucrats who were associated with the government of India in its highly critical and formative years. And that he could do, I'm quite sure, because of his long, illustrious and distinguished career as a civil servant. And as the principal information officer, if I am not wrong, Narendra Sahib perhaps had one of the longest tenures from 1992 to 1998. Is it right, sir? Yeah. And those days, I must say, the job of the principal spokesperson of India, or any spokesperson for that matter, in Bureau, much more challenging and complex because that was not the digital age. So to talk about the government, explain its policies without internet, without all these, your WhatsApp, and it was such a challenging and complicated task. But we all know Mr. Narendra came out with flying colors. So, sir, we are grateful that you are placed this opportunity. About Mr. Krishna Rao, he I think is a multifaceted personality, 61-year-old. Rao Sahib is a senior journalist, poet and literary critic from Hyderabad, just in Delhi. He is presently working as associate editor, Andhra Jyoti, Delhi. Previously, he worked as resident editor of the New Indian Express, Hyderabad, Bureau Chief Udayam, AP Times, etc. Mr. Rao has a vast experience of about 40 years in journalism, including 32 years in the National Capital, Delhi. He has worked in various capacities, such as resident editor, associate editor, special correspondent, bureau chief, deputy news editor, chief sub editor, senior sub editor, sub editor. I think I think he has not covered. I think every layer in the life of a journalist. And he also has worked as a media consultant to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, in between 2016 and 17. With the then Honorable I&D Minister, Sri M. Venkaiah Naidu. A postgraduate in English literature and mass communication, Mr. Rao is popularly known as Chris Nulu in literary circles. He has authored 3 books of poetry, 2 books of political and literary column, and wrote several articles from politics to economics to literature in various publications. He translated the poetry book of Dogri poet Padma Sachdeva into Telugu and received Kendriya Sahitya Academy Award for his outstanding translation. He wrote a political autobiography of former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao in English and Telugu. So, sir, we are very deeply indebted to you and also have come to
Thank you, Prakash. May I request Mr. Narendra to speak about his book, how he came to write it, and what was it like working with Mr. Narasimha Rao at a very crucial time in India's history. Mr. Narendra.
Hello. Thank you, President of FCC, Mr. Venkat Narayan, and the office bearers. I'm happy to share the dais with Mr. Krishna Rao, another author. Thank you all. I'm sorry I'm late. For this function. Oh, okay. Am I audible now? Okay, okay. Somehow luck put me inside the room when the government was gaining the commanding heights of the economy. That was between 1969 and 71, and Mrs. Gandhi had taken over the finance ministry, and I was the spokesman of the finance ministry. So I had seen step by step how the government acquired total control over almost all aspects of the economy. Luckily, again, I was inside the room and the whole superstructure of the license permit Raj was being shaken at the foundation level. In between, I had a very interesting inside account. Again, I was inside the room and the government came. There was a very high level presentation to BPC by some of the most eminent economists about the looming financial economic crisis. And I was asked to prepare in the government's language, it is known as publicity plan. I did that, gave it to the government. After 1 month, I received a letter from a section officer in the finance ministry. Please return all the secret papers, no action need be taken. The government did not take any action. It has given me a perspective about how the command economy was created. Then, when it was being disbanded, again in 1991, June, I was called and briefed saying that we want a publicity plan. I asked them, I know about the crisis. How much truth you want to tell the public? They got a little unnerved. They said, no, you come up with your plan. I said, unless I know how much truth I can tell the public and that can shape the markets, I cannot do that. But anyway, I prepared one and gave it. But the government took about 6 months to act on it. I did not know Mr. Narasimha Rao. How I was selected? Yes, I was to become the president operator of the government. But I was asked to make a presentation to the Narasimha all of a sudden in January 1992. Out of the blue, in 3 days, they said, make a presentation. What work you had done and what more needs to be done. And I gave a very frank presentation. I told him, so far, your government is only talking to the here in Delhi. Even some of the chief ministers I have met and the Congress president I have met at state level and at district level, they're all we are saying that you are reversing the policies initiated by Nehru and Mrs. Indira Gandhi. I said there is no political communication. She was a little shaken by that. He said, no, I need official media to do their job. I said, but nobody who has told us what is our job. Because nobody cares about us. That evening he called me for a discussion. And next time order was issued as the information advisor. For a period of time, we developed very strong rapport. And I was inside the, and most of the events during those 5 years happened, and most of the issues were taken. Why I wrote this book? Some of my friends, some of them are here from the media, were urging me that please do write your advice. I carried a lot of material with me. I put them all in a laptop. But unfortunately, a few days before my retirement, it was stolen. And once you leave the government, access to any of those documents is just impossible. So I decided to download whatever I carried in my memory and some of the papers I had and put them as notes. It took me quite some time whether to write something, how much I can reveal, how much I cannot reveal. So I started this book around 2017, almost 5 years, because I had to hack a lot. There was so much of things I had to make it slim, readable. And 2-3 publishers had approached me for the book. Then at last, this is the product produced. The main purpose of the book is, this is the centenary year of Mr. Narasimha Rao. It's going to be completed in June. Venkat has said he totally gives the credit to Mr. Narasimha Rao. But in the public perception, somehow the credit is given very grudgingly. Very often it is said that he was indecisive. It is also said that he was a reluctant reformer. An eminent economic journalist even wrote saying that he only responded to a crisis, otherwise he would not have done that. What I try to show in this book is put on record certain events, certain situations. What was the thinking of the Prime Minister when he took a decision or did not take a decision? He himself did not put his face to the economic reforms. Mostly the media thought it is all the work of Mr. Dr. Manmohan Singh. and the Commerce Minister, Mr. Chidambaram. While they were certainly the faces of the reforms that were put forward, they went on road shows in India and abroad for inviting foreign investment. There was a strategy in Narasimha Rao's not putting his face on the economic reforms. Right in the beginning, after 3-4 days I had taken over, I said, "Can I talk to you frankly?" He said, "Yes, always. Tell me what you feel," without any hesitation. I told him, "Sir, why are you keeping the industry ministry with you? And the foreign Investment promotion board is also with you. You and your family will come into scanner. There were allegations of favoritism." He said, "I agree with you to be accused of many things. I'm prepared to take on all those charges. I want to keep this ministry with me to make it less and less important." He said, "I have not gone to the industry ministry, even sat in the industry minister's chair. If I appoint a new minister, he will try to make himself important, not the Indian businesses." 4 years later, there was some problems, etc. He did induct a minister. The very second day, he wrote a letter to thank for the FIPV with me. And he wanted the secretary to change so that he can have his favorites. And as usual, while talking, he said, "Look, you wanted me to give up the industry ministry, I gave it up. Now, country will have a problem." Was he a reform? Was he the architect of reforms? While he himself did not claim it, I will only read the first paragraph in the book, if you permit me. It's a short paragraph. On 24 July 1991, an unheralded Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and his government set off seismic tremors under the ancient regime of controls and licensing. The industry ministry that was in direct charge announced the abolition of the Industry Development and Regulation Act of 1951 or IDRA. With this announcement, licensing of all industries except a few placed in the negative list went out the window. The announcement of such a game-changing policy was low-key. The industry minister himself, that was the Prime Minister, did not hold the customary press conference. It was a political strategy. He wanted to make the Big Bang reforms seem routine. The abolition of this act, in more ways than one, represented a change in the political, official, and national mindset. While 15th August 1947 placed India on the global political map, 24th July 91 put it on the international economic map. The innate Indian entrepreneurship and spirit of innovation were unshackled, significantly contributing to the rewriting of India's economic destiny. Now, was he a reform? Was he indecisive? This was the mother of all laws on which the license was built. And it required some daring because he was the Congress president. The legacy was that of the Nehru and Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And they had used that mother of all laws of license permit Raj to gain commanding heights of the economy. Without much ado, he just abolished it. This enabled other ministers like Dr. Manmohan Singh, Chidambaram, and many others to carry out deep and wide foundational reforms across the government of India. Very often, the media focus was mostly on finance ministry and on the commerce ministry. How the cobwebs that were there in every department restraining, controlling Indian entrepreneurship. What he moves step by step. June 1991, out of the blue, I was made a member of the steering committee headed by the principal secretary of the Prime Minister that was moving the reforms. That had given me an inside view, which I thought will help me in putting Narasimha 5-year legacy in perspective. I want to rest here. If there are questions later, I would like to elaborate.
Thank you, Mr. Narendra. May I now request Mr. Krishna Rao to tell us about how he came to write the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. It's a great honor for me. Sitting here beside Narendra ji. As a reporter, I used to attend his briefings. So, briefing as principal information officer in Mayapla. Now there is no practice of briefing. We don't see any briefings. We can't understand what is between the lines. He needs to tell what is the between the lines. He writes special stories on the basis of his briefings. We can't write anything. There are no spokespersons. Today we have only orators, not spokespersons. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about my just released book, The Quintessential Rebel. It was released in Hyderabad 2 days ago by Justice Sri P.S. Narasimha, Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court of India, and Sri Lava Nageshwara Garu, former judge. And S. Venkatnarayan Garu, the president, was also there. He wrote a forward for the book. And Sri Krishna Rao, my friend, is the Vice Chancellor Nalsar. He is here today. And I have learned many lessons from Sri G.V.J. Krishnamurthy Garu. His son is here, G.V. Rao Garu. Why I have written this book? I was just a vernacular journalist, reporting day-to-day events, news items, writing my columns in newspapers since 1990. I felt that history is very unkind to Narasimha and did not his role properly. I was transferred to New Delhi as a reporter of a Telugu daily, Udayam. A few months after Narasimha Rao took over as the Prime Minister. As a journalist of a vernacular daily posted in the national capital, I could get an opportunity to witness the whole social, political, and economic transformation in India. I closely observed how Narasimha Rao ji, who was preparing for retirement from politics, got an unexpected opportunity to become the Prime Minister and took various measures for the larger interests of the country, while adopting the strategies and counter strategies to safeguard his minority government for 5 long years. I wrote hundreds of news items and columns those days, Udayam, thereafter Andhra and AP Times. And my book is based on my news items and columns. Though I met him during his tenure as Prime Minister on certain occasions, I got more opportunity to spend time with him personally after I stepped down from the hot seat. I had lengthy discussions with him on many issues, which he is not allowed to record. And he explained about the decisions and many things, but he said he doesn't want to record because we have to eliminate from the history that what he told me. You should not write about us. History will record about it. Don't write about me. That's what he told me. That's why I stopped writing. Now, since he is no more, I have written some of those things. I feel that in the post-independence era, if India's socio-economic history from Jawaharlal Nehru to Rajiv Gandhi can be considered one episode, the next episode began with Narasimha. It is an undeniable fact that the decisions taken by Narasimha Rao ji had given a new dimension to the country's socio-economic development and heralded a new world before our eyes. Though he is not there amongst us, his era has left an inedible impact on us. We can understand how deeply he had thought about each and every decision. One wonders how many more important decisions he would have taken had he got an absolute majority of MPs in parliament like Narendra Modi now. And has his rivals within the Congress not created troubles for him. He faced troubles within and outside. So the advent of economic liberalization in India in the early 1990s fundamentally altered the structure and operation of the state. Professor Arun Thiruvengadam, who is an eminent professor of law, said in the Constitution of India, changes brought about by Narasimha Rao in 1991 amount to such a period of constitutional change. Although the changes heralded were not brought by either by using the formal constitutional provisions of the amendment without doing any amendment or through the mode of constitutional interpretation. However, I'm upset that it was not recorded well by even historians like Ramachandra Guha. There is no place for his makers in his book, Makers of Modern India. We talk about modern India, but Narasimha Rao has no place. And Sanjay Baruji, who wrote first book on PV in 1991, and how PV Narasimha Rao made history. After Baru, Vinay Sutrapati wrote Half Line, and Jairan Ramesh wrote To the Brink and Back, India's 1991 story. I have translated it in Telugu. Now, Narendraji's very interesting book, India's Tipping Point, has come out. My book is completely a different account. Everyone knows about the economic reforms. I tried to analyze the event as they unfolded on the national scene as a political journalist. You will see so many characters here. Sitaram Kesari, Arjun Singh, Sharad Pawar, Devagowda, Sonia Gandhi, and so on. So many characters. If Narasimha Rao's life is a fiction, you see so many characters, villains, comedians, jokers, everyone. And conspirators. I observed how he kept himself away from extreme and moderate thinking and adopted a middle path. He was a scholar who learned Buddhism. A revolutionary sage who treaded a cautious path by keeping his mind under control despite having thoughts of revolting against the circumstances surrounding him. He was like an ocean which appears calm at times, despite having the capacity to create a tsunami with powerful waves. Unfortunately, the Congress leaders did not realize how leaders like Narasimha Rao with such creative thoughts were indispensable for the country. In a way, they distanced themselves from the country's ideology. In the process of harming him, these leaders have created a pathetic situation of disappearing from the annals of history altogether. When Narasimha Rao ji was Prime Minister, I used to meet him on quite few occasions. I attended All India Congress Committee plenary held at Tirupati in 1992. I met him personally at his felicitation function at AP Bhavan on the occasion of completion of his 1 year in office. and his relative Vadichala Rajesh Pawar was MP at the time, and my newspaper's chairman Mamuta Subbaram Reddy was also a Congress MP at that time. I used to meet him, go to the Prime Minister's residence. Wherever they meet, I used to take a photographer along with them. So I used to gather a lot of information as I got from Election Commissioner G.V.G. Krishnamurthy. He was very close to Narasimha, and Kuchi Swarnarana was there, a former advisor to the President of India, Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. I used to interact with Prime Minister's OSD, A.V.R. Krishnamurthy. Similarly, I developed an acquaintance with the Union Home Secretary, Padmanabh. Those days, elders used to take a seat, encourage kids like me, and tell many things. We used to learn. They used to take GVG, used to take me to India International Center, and tell many things. So we have learned journalism from them. People like Bhaskar was also there, and B.N. Yugandhar was there at that time at the Prime Minister's office, and I used to collect very crucial information from them. So, and so many Congress MPs at the time, senior MPs like Dronanram Satyanarayana, Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, so many MPs were there. So they used to tell so many things about Narasimha. So these people I used to get a lot of perspective on national interests, though I was a regional reporter at that time. And of course, as Venkat Naran was there, he used to sit in a corner in a PIB and he used to type his news items. I had to sit beside him and learn tricks of the trade. And I had to go to TV briefings from Chandralal Chandrakar and Godgil. 4 o'clock, there was a briefing. From there, straight away to Narendra Ji's office. And he used to tell many things. And Jail Singh also. Jail Singh and Rama Sharma, that editor of National Herald. And similarly, Kandekar, this Chetan Sharma, who are working with PMO. So, and it was not just the developments of the heydays of Narasimha Rao, I also got an opportunity to follow the happenings during his last days. I was also a witness to the tragic incident to the Congress leadership, refusing to allow his mortal remains into the AICC premises. As Narendra Ji told about these economic reforms, he used to explain why there were no alternatives, what he had done, such as devaluation of rupee, negotiations with IMF, and initiating stringent trade reforms. We have only salvaged the prestige of the country. Sarvanashe samutpanne artham chajati pandita. When everything is being destroyed, intelligent people sacrifice something to see that remaining is not destroyed. This is the precisely what we have done. I do not say that the economy has been booming or going or is going to boom immediately. That's what he said, thereby indirectly conveying the message that he had prevented the country from a total collapse. It was not completely privatization. He said, I am against the privatization of the public sector, which is working very well. He said he had made the public sector compete with the private sector. You cannot strangle your own child to death. That's what he said. So I can give you one example. I was witnessing the gallery of Lok Sabha. Those were CPI member Nirmal Kant Chatterjee was there. He said during a debate in Lok Sabha, strongly opposed washing machines also. At the time, washing machines were coming to India those days. But he opposed because of reverse box washing machines are coming. On the ground that he could destroy the job opportunities. These people earlier also, automation is anti-nation. That we should remember. Reacting to this argument, that resources which are utilized for producing washing machines could be utilized for some other purposes. Narasimha Rao gave strong retort to them. That is the point. And what if you take that as the criteria, then it will remain a country of maid servants only. You are condemning our women folk to a life of drudgery permanently. This is where diversification is necessary. That is why we have not given them any education so far. Let her get it. She will refuse to do the washing the moment we educate her. Today we are talking of a society which itself is fast changing. And if you do not accept that this change is coming, you will be overtaken by events. It is very simple to say that you are throwing people out of employment. But what kind of? So his comments evoked hundreds of applause from the members. As he anticipated, communities were overtaken by the changing events. Like us, he said that there was no question of measures taken by his father. At the same time, there was no question of succumbing to surrendering to the IMF also. So replying to the debate, to the thanks to the presidential address of March 1982, there was no question of mortgaging the nation's economic sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty does not consist not doing anything in type of paying. Sovereignty consists in keeping complete control of its own policies. That's what he said. The World Bank certainly may accept them only if they suit me. I will not accept them if they do not suit me, if they go against my policy. That's what he declared. So we all know that the measures taken by Narasimha Rao were not superficial. So I have divided my book into 7 chapters. The PV, a historical necessity. Historical necessity, how it was, what sort of measures it took. The second chapter is Ayodhya from UP to Gujarat. So the Ayodhya episode, how it turned UP into turmoil, communal politics, how it turned into, and now what we are seeing after that, UP to Gujarat, all the developments. Between that is some caste politics, the advent of Mulayam Singh and all those episodes there. So all characters are there in my book. I explained that in detail about it, why it happened, how it happened, why Narasimha Rao cannot claim it. I cannot explain. I can tell that. So, and how he used Congress leaders in like Pranab Mukherjee and other people were there, all those. So, the concept of India is completely different. Good. I have got this. When I talk about India, it is not about a geographical map of India that we see in the world atlas. India, it represents a culture. It represents a philosophy. It says the entire world is one and the entire universe is one. That's what he said. So his era is a watershed in India's politics, which laid foundation for several social, political, and economic changes. Why I have kept the book as quintessential rebel? So in essence, he is a rebel. His character is in a rebellious mode always. He rebelled against certain events. He rebelled against emergency. He wrote articles in the mainstream magazine with anonymous name those days. As CM introduced revolutionary reforms, he was socialist at that time. He said one day, I introduced reforms of land reforms as a CM, but I lost. I introduced economic measures and reforms, I lost. He knows that he will lose, but rebellion character is always there. In 1972, At the stroke of midnight, 25 years of India independence was there. Now we are calling Amrit Kal. We should compare of those days with the. He did not speak. A long poem, with a long poem, he came there to the assembly. I read just few lines and conclude. What he said, all through this quarter of this century, the debate between the rulers and the downtrodden has only widened. Lives of people turned miserable. Mr. Chief Minister who is reading the poem. Abundance on one side, plight on the other. Growth on one side, pathos on the other. One rose to the sky, many sunk into the soil. Trustees turned looters of the booty. Now in this Amrit Kal, we should question ourselves whether still trustees are playing the role of looters in the country or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Krishna. I now open the session to questions. Those of you who have any questions, kindly raise your hand. Wait for the microphone to come to you. Identify yourself and ask the question. Yes? Anil, we need one more person in another microphone. Will you organize that?
Namaste. This is Ravi Misra from Organizer. My question is, I would not like to compare, but still, how do you compare the reforms under Narendra Modi government and the reforms under Narasimha Rao government?
I don't want to compare. What I have written here is what Narasimha Rao started was a transformative change. It was foundational. Without that, successor governments could not have carried on anything. Narasimha Rao said, I have set a direction that is irreversible. But the pace of reforms will vary according to situations. Once the foundation was laid and IDRA Act and various other laws were removed, the road was clear for further reforms. It is a work in progress. Even today, not completed. This government is claiming we started EODB. What is EODB? Ease of doing business. Once you scrap the basic laws which control the economy, rest are rules, etc., which needs to be changed over a period of time. In 5 years, you could not have done that. The Narasimha Rao government did the foundational reforms. Devagowda governments, Gujarat government, Mr. Vajpayee's government, or Manmohan Singh's, or Narendra Modi's are carrying it forward. It is becoming wider and deeper, but still, it is a work in progress.
Thank you. Chiriyan.
How do you compare both years? Sir, sir. Like to compare.
Of course, Narasimha Rao ji said these reforms are irreversible. But I can give you an example from the state of my own, Andhra Pradesh. During Narasimha Rao's period, Visakhapatnam steel plant was in crisis. It was built because people demanded it. Vishaka Ukku, Andhra Hakku, the right of Andhras. There was an agitation, there was a bloodshed. That's why Visakhapatnam steel factory was sanctioned by the Indira Gandhi's government. Along with all other public sector companies, it went on for losses. Narasimha Rao ji has sanctioned some 625 crores, infused with the capital, and it is running under profits now. The difference is, last year, though it is running under profits, this government put it on for sale. This is the difference. That's what is.
Chiriyan.
Yeah. Two questions, sir, to you, sir.
Because, I covered the telecom and the reforms, and he knows, thanks to you, I got a lot of insights many times, so if you look at telecom, this is one of the showpiece of Indian reforms. Because everybody has two phones these days, thanks to Narasimha Rao. If you look at the political scene, and we always discuss that, how come such a person allowed a big plot on Indian politics and society, which is the demolition of Babri Masjid? That has changed India's politics, just as the way he changed the economic reforms at one level. The political level, what we are facing today, is the result of that. How did he managed so many contradictions? How did he fail in this contradiction?
To say that he's failed, I would not agree. I have, in this book, dealt with the Babri Masjid issue very extensively. Even the Labour and Commission that went into the Babri Masjid has said the Constitution of India failed. Second, the role of the Supreme Court, because of contempt of court, nobody has analyzed how they prevented the government from taking over the entire area and protecting it. Within the government, barring Mr. Arjun Singh, nobody took a firm stand whether the UP government should be dismissed, then central should take over and protect the Babri Masjid minister identity. Everybody wanted to be on the winning side. Nobody wanted to take the blame if something went wrong. And Narasimha Rao himself has written his book, Ayodhya. He was made a scapegoat. If somebody gives an affidavit before the High Court and Supreme Court upholds it and says we trust the affidavit of the UP government, the central government cannot move. It is the Constitution. It is a constitutional failure because Constitution does not have a provision where a government enjoying majority in a state, where there is no break of the Constitution, can be taken over. Very often, Rajiv Gandhi government and others were accused that they are following the Constitution. He followed the Constitution, so he is still being blamed. Then at telecom, see, telecom, power, insurance sector, these were very sensitive sectors. And in 1994, I don't know, you remember that, India celebrated one of the greatest events, everybody clapped. The landline telephone had reached 1% of the population. He wanted to telecom from government to a private sector as early as 92. It was held up by, I don't want to name them, in the telecom industry. So when we were at Rio in 1992 for an environment conference, we were all given a mobile phone. In those days, it used to be very big, very heavy, 2-3 kilos. And it was a strap, you have to carry it like this. So I asked him why in India we don't have it. He said, please ask the telecom. There are several teams who asked him to sign the file. It's not coming. It happens later. It was a revolutionary step opposed by both the BJP and the left. And within the Congress, the employees went on agitation. Insurance sector. Again, it was a very sensitive distinction because LIC was the first company to be nationalized by the independent India. So what did he do? He put a committee, a Malhotra committee, to go into this and give a roadmap. And even in those days, he already had plans for setting up the Insurance Regulatory Authority. Based on this, the successive governments took over and opened it. So, unfortunately, many of the political critics on Narasimha Rao say his legacy is only the demolition of Babri Masjid. Is that the only legacy? Was he responsible? If he had dismissed that day, the BJP would have again started the Rath Yatra. The entire reform process would have been halted. This is one of the biggest concerns. And the governor of UP told the Prime Minister, he shared it with me, saying that the whole area has been mined. If you dismiss the government, they will blow it up anyway. But there will be bloodshed, and I want that to be on my hand. I am not going to recommend President's rule. If the governor refuses, gives you still impose the President's rule. Under the Constitution, you cannot send central forces to a state until the state government requisitions constitutional permission. And the army was stationed nearby. They were stopped from going out of their barracks. All these are on record. I have dealt with it quite extensively. I am not here either to praise Mr. Narasimha Rao or to defend him or to bury him with criticism. What happened, why it happened, what was the prime ministerial thinking, that is the focus of my book. Anybody can draw any kind of a conclusion based on it. They are free to do it.
Sushma?
Hi, this is Sushma here. I hope you have written about Narasimha Rao ji. Now, what is one of your favorite character that you have? What is his characteristic that has inspired you to write this book? Because both of your interpretations are different. What is this character that you like the most?
What did I do?
Both of you. Yeah. No, sir.
See, I work with a prime minister I work with 4 prime ministers. I also work with Mr. Indira Gandhi when she was the finance minister. I have not written about others because my tenure was very short. Here, for the full 5 years of the government, I was there not only as an observer, but also as a participant in various decisions that were taken by the government. So I thought I'll put it on record. What happened, what are the prime ministerial thinking behind most of the decisions. One of the things that has not come out anywhere in the media. Have we bet Pakistan in that public relations game? Have we brought normalcy in J&K? 3 years, very quiet work went on. And the state people, they themselves wanted elections. They wanted normalcy, militancy. How did you achieve that? There is a chapter on that. There is no record of that, but perhaps it's the only record of the one. Thank you.
What you are inspired with Narasimha Rao's personality, I am a writer and poet also. His rebellious attitude towards taking his decisions. You asked about Babri Masjid. I witnessed Babri Masjid incident on December 6th. So many people came. I asked those people why are coming. We are just performing Kar Seva. We have no intent of not doing anything. But suddenly it erupted. So it was pre-planned this time. At the time, Satyanarayana Reddy was governor. He was not appointed by Narasimha Rao. He was appointed to VPC. Because another government was there. The so-called governor of VPC told Narasimha Rao that there is no imminent danger. Nothing we can take a decision. So Supreme Court also, they have promised to Supreme Court, they have promised to National Development Council. Every forum they said nothing is going to happen in Kalyan Singh also. Or that Kalyan Singh was fined, what went for that extra? One day, standing in Supreme Court, that's all. So the Burhan Commission said everyone is okay. Nobody has committed any crime. Gandhiji and others people are also innocent. I listened to their speeches there, provocative speeches there, while watching the demarche. Everybody was just they are saying they are not culprits. Well, those people are not culprits. Why we should be there? Everyone is responsible in this politics. So I have witnessed all irresponsible people in government. And I discussed with Narasimha about this and this telecom revolution. Myself, I taken telephone through some MP because telephone is landline and so with that I went to the Rangai Reddy. Go to Rangai Reddy, will give you telephone. I went there, I got telephone connection. And the first mobile call was made between Suparam and Jyoti Basu at that time. So I have witnessed every revolutionary developments, all those things. Ismail never blamed anyone. Neither he blamed nor Arjun Singh nor blamed any people. So that's all right. It's my responsibility to write.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Dr. G.V. Rao. I'm a lawyer, senior advocate in the Supreme Court. I was lawyer for Narasimha Rao ji in a private case where he had 400 acres of land and he got into, after he had sold it after the land reform, the next government had filed that case. But anyway, before I ask my question, I'm going to preface if you permit me, with a few comments. You know, the Narasimha Rao ji was an extraordinary genius, a phenomenal scholar. He translated one of the greatest literary works in Telugu, for my grandfather's Krishna Satyanarayana's work. And that gentleman got the Padma and he got the Jnanpith Award. Besides that, a few observations like the fact that he held the various portfolios between 80 to 90, starting from being AICC General Secretary in 1976 after he lost his chief ministership. He had tremendous experience in the foreign ministry, which gave him a great worldview. And subsequently, the HRD or the home that he held, that helped him actually steer India through his prime ministership, though in a minority government. Besides that, we can divide the history of India into a pre-Narasimha Rao and a post-Narasimha Rao era, because it was a watershed which he brought about by through reforms, etc. Not only did he give extraordinary political support to somebody like Manmohan Singh, who was a non-political person, a pure economist, but you will see that they are complete unknown in the arena of politics. That Manmohan Singh went on to become prime minister and continued for 10 long years. It is the blessing that he got from Narasimha Rao. And he with his protege and ensured that he was able to do what he had to do for the country. Besides this, just a quick thing about the Ayodhya thing. The Ayodhya thing, many people don't know this, that perhaps the BJP of India, they went to the Supreme Court and got an order from the court to perform Kal Seva in Ayodhya. And after they promised that nothing untoward happened, and I have great respect for Bani, but he was taking the train to Ayodhya. He said, Kal Seva doesn't mean Kirtan and Bhajan, but it means bricks and showers. The point that he was making. So Mr. Kalyan Singh was in contempt as chief minister because they took and made an undertaking that nothing would happen, and he came and in contempt. He was sitting in the court next to me while I was waiting for some matter. And I asked him, I said, why could you not prevent that mosque from being demolished? And what he told me was that the narrow lanes of Ayodhya are so narrow that if he did anything, there would be stampede and thousands of people would have lost their lives. And there, I guess, I don't know, Narendra, you can say more about it. So given some of these things which I know I can speak about more things, but the question that I in those days in 95, after the second term was due, I was away abroad and I was with you. My question is, what were the political circumstances by which this so-called Chanakya of Indian politics could not get his second term, which he managed despite being a minority government for 5 years and did exceptionally well, whether it was a rebel and an economic reformer, but was not able to get his second term. I would like to thank you.
One was the Congress itself was a divided house. Grudgingly, Mr. Narasimha Rao was accepted because he was also the Prime Minister. He could keep the party together. The second issue was, right in the beginning, 1991, in my presentation, I had made him a point. I said, your government lacks political communication. Your cabinet has not done the reforms. Although cabinet was passing various laws and etc., they are doing it very reluctantly. 1966, when devaluation had happened under Mrs. Gandhi, you know what she did? She made every minister go on the air and support that. I suggested to Narasimha Rao, publicly, whether it is Pawar or Arjun Singh or anybody else, they should not only talk about their ministry, about reforms. Nobody was doing it. I prepared brief after brief for them. It was taken to the Congress party, but the horse was taken to the water. It did not drink the water.
You may have to bring.
I have told about
Why is second term?
Second term, from
You
the
could not make it.
you know very well that as a political journalist, I observed after third year how this, other group has become active. At that time, Sonia Gandhi was an invisible force. She did not come out, but everyone was meeting her. People, Arjun Singh, Tiwari, people from my state, Rajshekar Reddy, they used to meet her regularly. They used to get guidance from her. There was another power center was also there. They are not encouraging him to do his work. Each and every time Arjun Singh used to write, Arjun Singh might have written thousands of letters against this. Even employees home like Rajesh Pilot used to write letters to him. And someone was controlling him. So he tried to solve the Kashmir issue by appointing K.V. Krishna or other things. So many people were there outside the government, within the government, and Narendra ji, PDR ke Prasad, executive were there within the troubleshooters were there. Troublemakers are more. Power mongers within the Congress.
The dominant slide, it traces why Mr. Narasimha Rao was not able to manage some of the crises that were developing within the party. That whole chapter deals with the dominant slide, gives you event by event that built up, which resulted in the defeat of the Congress party. Thank you.
You were here at the very beginning. If you throw some light on how Narasimha Rao could not conduct the nuclear test and then pass it on to the national. And I asked him, after you get evidence of this, that politicians of those times do, you feel very angular and say, it's not true. But you are good.
See, in the chapter on was Narasimha Rao, a reformer, I have a section on national security. In that, I deal with how we strengthen the defense of the country, not only by allowing all the scientists to carry out whatever experimentation they wanted to do. The Agni missile was tested when he was about to leave for USA. It requires some daring because the Agni missile is capable of being converted into carrying nuclear warheads. Even up to that point, the development had taken place. After the Pokhran in 1998 explosion, I used to meet Dr. Chidambaram. I had to brief him on a variety of things. There were some problems. He showed me they had already exploded nuclear bomb on the computer, simulated it. This is now presented in the assembly. They were ready to do it before November. But unfortunately, it is not so much the satellite of USA that detected the preparation. No,
I think somebody leaked it.
somebody leaked it to the USA, and he did not want sanctions to come in because the economy was still sick. Under ICU. And had he done that, if the US had issued a sanction, then whatever even getting one foreign investment was very difficult. Why India went after Pepsi Cola to come? Because we wanted one anchor investment to come into India so that others can follow. So we are almost ready. In fact, with the Kashmir, I have a chapter on Kashmir where I have written. I told him, sir, if you can win the Kashmir elections, hold the Kashmir elections, even if Farooq Abdullah wins, and if you can do some other stuff and spend more time in the party office and through the rank and file, will be able to win the election. Mr. Narendra, I don't have somebody I can trust even at my second in command in the Congress. He did wanted to appoint a vice president. Several names some of us suggested. He said, the moment I put a vice president, I don't know all of you remember, Arjun Singh was put as vice president by Rajiv Gandhi. He removed him in 24 hours. Thank you.
But when I wrote my book on rediscovering Asia, evolution of India's Bluefish policy, Mr. Narasimha Rao was the father of that. I did interview him that time I asked him this question. He said, why that nuclear? He didn't say much. He said, young man, there was some sort of something. And he did not proceed enough further. He, of course, explained to me the great length about Buddhist policy, but that part is that there was some sabotage. And of course, that civilization came, but who was there to think? They said that he was eating himself.
There is no point in listening to me. I can't provide
Okay, very lively discussion. Oh, you have a question here, please. That is the last question.
Arun Goel from India. I was an insider. And I appreciate what Narendra Ji was achieved from the KIA. In fact, I started column economic times and I got my appreciation. So, I, as a watcher of the economy for the last 5 years, I see that in 1947 we got a first figure. The second figure was in 1967 after the emergency. And all the red book went out. And in 1991, when Narasimha Rao came, all the military in front of my eyes. And the interesting question that I'd like to ask is that Narasimha Rao said very clearly that in Hyderabad, he used to see the walls around universities and so on. And said every time he went to Hyderabad, he found that the walls had gone up further and further. So the freedom that he had, it was basically becoming an unfreedom. So in your book, have you gone into the philosophy of economic freedom that Narasimha Rao founded, which is now going back, we are going back to the same thing, our national economic trial. And I know the figures are being, it won't take day by day, it's only law or something that you will see. So it is my job to monitor this in my research. So, would you like to expound on what Narasimha Rao's economic philosophy was in terms of freedom?
the book. What I said is, can we put a date on which the real economic reform started? For me, the 24th of July 1991, which was not the budget of Manmohan Singh that followed later. I have said that should be celebrated as an Independence Day by Indian entrepreneurship. His philosophy was the village and the poorest in the country should not only benefit from globalized, liberalized economy, but they should be active participants in the globalized Indian economy. That's why he called it his middle path. Which prime minister went to Davos, antagonized them by saying that what you are doing is wrong. I follow the independent middle path. I cannot dismantle the government, as was the philosophy then, and say government should totally withdraw from the economy, leaving the poorest of the poor to the mercy of the market forces. Today, the market forces have taken over the human face in this.
I think
Question response to the young man's question about comparison. I think if you, the comparison that you thought if anybody put between ODG and Narasimha Rao. ODG has the good fortune of having Narasimha Rao's legacy. Narasimha Rao did not have any good
I would like to recall the notation from Narasimha Rao on reforms, then and now. He said that we have opened only windows. Now these people are opening even doors and demolishing walls. That's all.
Can we ask?
Thanks very much. I just want to thank everybody for this lively debate, and thank you. I request Simran to propose a vote of thanks. Before she proposes the vote of thanks, we would like to, as a gesture of gratitude, we would like to make Mr. Narendra and Krishna honorary members of the club. I also request them to. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. May I request Simran to give that memento to Mr. Narendra and give this to Krishna. May I now request Simran to propose a vote of thanks? Thanks.
I wish to thank Mr. Narendra and Mr. Krishna Rao for coming here and for this wonderful discussion we've had. This is also the first discussion of the new tenure we are having with Venkat as the president. And we hope that this great first event is a signal to many great events we will have in these 2-year tenure. And we've also streamlined this event on Facebook Live for people who are unable to catch the event because of their work commitments, etc. It will be available on YouTube. It will be available on the archives section of the FCC. So anytime you feel like going back and revisiting the comments and the discussion, please do so. And let me again thank our guests for taking the time out and being here with us. Thank you so much.
Copies of the book are available, and a 10% discount is also available. The authors will be happy to autograph copies of the book when they buy. Thank you very much.